Autopilot is one hell of a drug. Autopilot is when you're driving down the road and you can't remember the last 20 minutes. Or you're in a conversation, those small talk conversations that you're so familiar with that you're not even participating. It's just carrying on. You know the things to fill in the gaps. Now, autopilot has a place. It is great for routines and doing the things that need to be done every day, and that if you had to think about it every day, that'd be very tiring. So getting up, brushing your teeth, having breakfast, getting dressed, all of these things on autopilot. If you can train your autopilot to go to the gym and to do go for a walk and things like that, great. The things that get you to the right place in the right frame of mind, brilliant. Some people would say that your conscious mind is here to actually direct your autopilot, is to just course correct on the routine because maybe the routine worked last year but it's not doing great this time around. And on a low level, I'd agree. But obviously I'm making this video because autopilot can get out of hand. Duty and responsibility can really just carry us forward. I should do, I ought to do, I must do, I need to do. All of these things can just take over and take the driver's seat away from us. So the question is, how do you break out of that? And the thing is, to break out of that structure, and again, you do need structure. You need friend time, family time, work time, hobby time. You need kind of compartmentalize. You need it. I get it. But to break out of those structures and to reorganize those structures, you need to have a higher structure. Now, you can have some form of religion or some form of spirituality to have this, but truly what it comes down to is virtues and values. So these are higher order principles. To be authentic is not something that you simply have. It is something you relate to. If you've been watching these videos, I've used that example many times because authenticity is such a perfect example because you are a moving target. You are evolving and changing. So even if you had it perfect, which is impossible, but even if you had it as a substance in your hand, you're changing. So it's no longer relevant a year down the line, maybe even a week down the line, depending. But, so you can't have it, you have to relate to it. It's a relationship that you must nurture, that you must revisit. It is something that you'll continue to learn from as you go back to it. And there are multiple virtues. To be brave, to be tempered, to be beautiful, to be loving, to be caring. All of these things. If I care about you, then maybe I mind you. But then maybe I teach you and I embolden you and I strengthen you. There are many ways of caring. So revisiting that and recognizing with who and how you're participating in that virtue is really important. Having higher order principles is how you break out of the lower order structures. I'm going to repeat that. Having higher order principles is what you need to break out of those lower order structures. I don't see another way around it. Okay? And this is exactly what a hero is. We were all, if you're in my generation, you were raised on Harry Potter. And was Harry Potter the best student? Did he follow all the rules? No. Did he break all the rules? No. He knew when to break them. That was the important part. He was good, but when something called, when something bigger called to him, he understood priority. He understood what came first. And that is what's needed. So I say all of this to highlight what is needed. You can do a wee exercise if you want, but really I want to invite you to my workshops. But first we will go through the exercise. Pick 4 examples of an interaction that you have every day. Talking to your friend, eating food, your boss gives out to you, your boss talks to you, something that you're struggling with or having issues with, whatever it is. Usually the first kind of instance or situation that comes up is a good one to work with. So just what, in that situation, whatever comes up for you. So again, work, family, friends, hobbies. In those kind of, use them as parameters or as kind of a starting point. Try and find a situation within one of those that has a bit of turmoil in it. And then ask yourself, what was your first instinct? What, like, as in, what's your response? What's your autopilot? Where's it aiming you towards? Do you withdraw? Do you bravado and kind of, does it spark your ego? Do you avoid and hide in humor? So there's a few ways of doing this. Whatever one is relevant for you, I want you to write it out. Always write it out, guys. Always write it out. It is so powerful to see it written. It makes a difference. So I encourage you to write it out. But either way, and then I want you to take 1 minute to just breathe. You can do the centering exercise where you find your physical center, you find your attentional center and your attitudinal center. We've done that before. That's from John Vervaeke. But some sort of exercise that just lets you calm. You can have a cup of tea, whatever it is. Okay? And then when you come back, what would you change? What is the response? I want you to separate that response out. I want some sort of break time in between, because I don't want an immediate response, because that will kind of capture the ego and the defenses. I should have, I would have, shoulda, coulda, woulda, needed to do. Again, that's duty and responsibility coming in. We do not want that. So some form of break that lets you put it back down, that situation, that energy, lets you put it down for a minute and lets you step back and then step into it and be, what would I change? So would I assert myself more? Would I give a bit more time and be a bit more empathetic to what's being said? Would I be more inquisitive and curious? Again, what way would you change it? And again, your instinct will almost tell you this. You will have this intuitive response here of that kind of first urge, and just follow that and explore it. And write it down. Please write it down. And then I want you to compare the two and ask yourself, look up the list of virtues. I'll leave them in the description below as well if you need. But ask yourself, what virtues changed? What, if you could capture the change in a virtue, which one would it fall under? And it'll fall under a few, but just which ones? And recognize them. And just meditate on that and ask yourself, what do I think that virtue actually is? Okay, so that is today's exercise. But really, if you really want to come into contact with virtues, I invite you to the workshops. I hold Dialogos workshops every second week. This is where we pull apart virtues. And yes, you get to have your perspective on the virtue, but then so does the other 3 people in your group. And in that, you will recognize that each person has their perspective and no one has the answer. That each of their perspectives is correct in a way, and you can't solve that problem. You can't reconcile all of those into one answer, because the virtue is beyond words. It's beyond problem solving. It is something that you cannot have. It is something that you will continually, forevermore, come back to and learn from. You will forever be a student. And in that's the beauty of this practice. We are all forever students. We are all forever, we will never have the answer. And coming to that just offers a love of mystery, a love of the unknown, a love of exploring, a love of creativity. There is so much that come along with this practice. But in this video, I'm going to emphasize that it helps you break out of autopilot. It gives you a higher order principle so that you can navigate the kind of more mundane details, the more everyday details, with this North Star guiding you. And yes, there are many virtues, and we will tackle one in each of the workshops. So yes, it's a process that you can come back to, but I implore you, it is the most fulfilling practice that I've come across. It is so beautiful. And nourishing. Nourishing is the only way I can say it. It is food that I didn't know I needed to have. And I would also say, so again, I'll remind you, just drop your email and I will send on the link, and I'll send on a bit of reading material as well that you can read, optional, okay? But I will also say that if you are kind of nervous and you feel like you need to bring a friend along, or someone needs to kind of come with you because who wants to turn up on their own, I would say that, it's not necessary. That in this space, we are all recognizing that we are amateurs. We are all recognizing that we don't know. And in that space, there's a beautiful intimacy. And I will promise you this, that you will find intimacy in this workshop. And it won't be because you know the other person's story. By the end of it, you probably won't. You'll have an idea of their perspective, where they're coming from, but you won't know why, because we don't go into stories. We don't go into what you're bringing along with you. We simply talk about your perspective on the world as it is, and we explore as fellow travelers. And in that, there's a beauty. So again, if you are anxious at all, I would suggest don't be. We have prompts, as in like start-offs for sentences to help you along. Being with you, I feel my shoulders being a bit tense. I feel my back getting a bit straight. I feel a bit nervous, like what the hell is this? Like being with you here, I feel flush, my cheeks, I feel whatever it is. So you have these kind of start-off sentences that you can just fill out. It's made for you. Okay, so don't be afraid, don't be stressed, don't be anxious. You're more than welcome to come along. I hope to see you there. It is the most exciting practice. I love it. And so I will leave it there. So guys, I hope you've had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to next week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.